Hey, my name is Marty. I'm part of a project called the Valhalla Movement. We've been running for 8 years now doing digital marketing, and in the last 3 years we've been doing a focus for social enterprises and social initiatives. And we created a formula, actually discovered a formula that we believe helps someone connect better to your story, connect better to what you're doing and why it's important for you to do what you're doing. And so the 4 steps that we believe is important in a story for a crowdfunding campaign, or generally for your organization, for your social initiative, is step number 1, why. You need to describe why your social initiative is important, because people are empathic. They'll support a project that they feel makes sense to them. And so if I take an example, which would be in this case waste food, especially in North America and Europe, a lot of food is wasted, and we know that there's people that are suffering from hunger, and this is a big issue in the world. And if you are creating an initiative that wants to solve this, the first thing you want to do when you share this initiative to the world is tell them why you want to solve it. So really connect to the issue, to why wasting food is bad and why it's something that needs to be fixed. And so when people hear all that, then they can tell themselves, well, yeah, that makes total sense. Like we shouldn't waste food. And so that's how your story should begin. Usually people start with what. What is what you're doing specifically? And that's something that makes sense when you think about it logically, but it's not what makes people connect to your story. So for social initiatives especially, you want to start with a why. Obviously, once the why is covered, that's when you start talking about what you're doing and how does it help with the why. So the example I'm going to be using today is these 2 girls who started a campaign for a project that something that you put in your kitchen that conserves food in your kitchen passively without using electricity. And so they really took the time to explain that why, and then they explained this is what we're doing. And this is how it works. So after explaining what you're doing, you want to get into how your initiative works, how your initiative is something new. So after explaining the why and the what, and you get into the how needs to cover that and needs to cover the details, the science behind what you're doing. And so people can see it as a credible source, that your project needs to make sense to them. And so that's step number 3. Step number 1 was why. Step number 2 was what. Step number 3 is a how. And step number 4 is the now, or the call to action. In this point, this is after explaining the whole process that we did. People have a short attention span on the internet, and it's very easy to click that X button and move on. And so we always need to ask people to do something. So whether it's supporting the project, which is your main, this is mainly what you want, obviously, when you have a crowdfunding campaign. You need the fundings or the volunteering hands into your project. But even if they don't want to do that, at the very least, if you ask them to like it and to share it in their networks, just hearing it will make someone do it. And therefore, it's something that's very important in your crowdfunding campaign. So step 1 is why, step 2 is what, then it's how, and now, which is the call to action. So the video is the heart of your crowdfunding campaign. It needs to be captivating. It needs to be something that people will view and will stick around for. A few rules for videos. First of all, it needs to be short. I say 5 minutes max for a crowdfunding video, 2 minutes and 30 seconds if it's not a crowdfunding video. But the shorter that you can share the story, the better. Another factor that's important is that it needs to be funny. It needs to be something that's entertaining. It needs to be something that's captivating. It needs to have novelty in it. It needs to constantly be shifting and make someone want to watch the next 10 seconds of the video. For your crowdfunding campaign, there's a general statistic that's accepted amongst all specialists, and it's that you have a 2% conversion rate. That means it's 2% of the people who will go on your campaign will support it with their funding. So you need to reach a large number of people to get that 2%. And so you need to create content. You need people to hear about it, and the best way to do that is to do it through articles, do it with your social media, do it with videos, do it with graphic designs, photos, anything that you can share on the internet. And so I always recommend the people that I work with for crowdfunding campaigns to find a bunch of networks that relate to your specific topic and share it on these networks. Write articles for these networks so that they can share it on their social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Another important factor of your campaign is the rewards. It's important to have rewards for your crowdfunding campaign. Just something you should know, $25 and $35 are the two amounts that people support the most on crowdfunding campaigns. So it's always good to have those two amounts in your campaigns. So all of that put together on your page is great, but needs to be visually appealing. You want people to find your entire page appealing. So if they watch a video and they need a little more and they're going to scroll down, you want your page to be able to captivate them and get them to think that, like, wow, this is something I connect to. So I've got a few random tips for you for your crowdfunding campaign, starting with the first 48 hours of your campaign, 24 hours, whatever, like the first 2 days of your campaign. This is when you want the most amount of support. If you went around and talked to your friends and family about it, you want them to support your campaign at the very beginning. Why? Because when you go online and you see a campaign and you see that there's no one that supported this project or very little support to this project, it doesn't give a lot of credibility to that project. So you're less likely to support it. That's why some people even go and grab some money, their own money, $1,000 let's say, and put it in the campaign at the very beginning just to give that quick credibility, ask their friends and family to support it, and that allows the campaign to succeed in the long run. So we're going to be using two examples to compare a bit, two successful campaigns that we had in Montreal for social initiatives. The first one is solar, which if you watch a video, you'll notice out of the 3-4 minutes of it, the first minute and 10 seconds is dedicated to the why. Why this is a project that needs to happen, why there needs to be a solution there. And by watching it, it's very easy for someone to look at that and feel like feel emotionally attached to the situation and want to support it. And the other one, Cycle Alimentaire, which was also a successful campaign, they only spent a couple of seconds on the why. And they could have really benefited from explaining what the situation was that made them decide to go into it and made them start their organization. And just by hearing that and understanding what they were coming through, they, people would have been more likely to support it. And, if you're doing a social initiative, for sure you have a why. Like, there's a reason why you're doing it. So, let people feel that because you felt it, and that's why you're doing it.
My name is Salima Visram and I'm from Kenya. I grew up beside the Kikambala village on the outskirts of Mombasa, where 22,000 people live below the poverty line. Here's the issue. Imagine living with no electricity. Imagine not being able to study and do your homework when you come home because it is too dark. Imagine then not being able to go to high school because your performance in primary school doesn't meet the requirements. According to the World Bank, over 1.2 billion people have no access to electricity worldwide. Millions of children study directly above a kerosene lamp every night, breathing in the toxic, cancerous fumes which result in nausea, excruciating headaches, and numerous other health complications. 4,000 deaths occur daily as a result of kerosene-induced illnesses. On top of this, as a consequence of not being able to study effectively through the night, millions of children cannot achieve the minimum grades to make it into secondary school. This results in many of them turning to child prostitution and human trafficking all around the world as a way to earn income, hence perpetuating the vicious cycle of poverty. About 6 months ago, I thought, why not develop a solar-powered pen that would allow children in rural areas to study through the night? After speaking with an engineer, I realized that logistically, this would not be the most efficient way to target the issue. Over the past 6 months, I hosted idea jams and thought about everything from a solar-powered hat to a shopping bag to a sticky panel. Finally, I designed and put together a solar-powered backpack that kids in Kikambala and other rural areas across Kenya and Africa could carry to school. I then held dozens of interviews with social entrepreneurs, solar experts, engineers, and NGOs to ensure that this iterated solution would be foolproof. This backpack would get charged as the kids walk, usually for hours under the African sun, to and from school every day. Later on at night, the battery attached to the solar panel on the backpack can be connected to an LED lamp. This would replace the toxic kerosene lamps and would allow them to study later at night, hence improving their performance in school and their futures, all in an effort to break the vicious cycle of poverty. Something that I thought about too was why not just a solar panel? That could be cheaper. The problem is that it's not directly linked to their education, whereas they would use a backpack for school every day that they themselves own. The solar backpack empowers them to take charge of their own education and their own futures, and as they walk to school to get educated, they are also geared with the ability to continue their studies into the night. In terms of systems thinking, the solar backpack would directly impact not only their education but their health too. The 25% of income spent on kerosene could otherwise be used by their families to fund their secondary education, and the environmental benefits that would arise are numerous, such as the decrease in use of and the number of deaths linked to kerosene, the potential income generated through carbon credits, as well as the long-term sustainability of the bags, as opposed to the plastic bags they currently use. This project is something that I've invested countless of hours in because I believe it is a viable solution to a problem that affects over 1 billion people all over the world. I need your help to establish solar power as a social enterprise. My goal is to get 2,000 pieces on the ground and to eventually subsidize this to 10 cents per piece for these children. In order to take this project further, I need your help.
Hi, I'm Mauricio.
Hi, my name is Iman.
Hey, I'm Max.
And I'm Sam, and together we are
Cycle Alimentaire. So we're 4 roommates going into the 3rd year of living together. This idea basically came out of a couple of conferences that I participated in last year on food security as well as urban agriculture. For the project, we basically install microfarms in residences' backyards in NDG and then distribute the produce that we grow by bicycle, often in areas that are labeled as food deserts, where residences suffer from a lack of access to fresh quality produce that is affordable.
Having the idea was great, but what Max really needed was a team to make it happen.
This project came into our lives at a moment when we were all free and willing to invest our energy into it. Iman, Mauricio, and I joined Max and officially created Cycle Alimentaire in late May 2014. We drew up a poster and created a logo. We got a Facebook page up and running. We called in our contacts and we partnered with local organizations and businesses. With the help of volunteers, we set hard to work on transforming grassy backyards into thriving, productive vegetable gardens.
We started our season late and with little experience. We made a lot of mistakes and it's been a steep learning curve.
But despite all the challenges, we produced over 90 kilos of vegetables in just under 100 square meters of land. We held 8 markets and developed many relationships.
This year, we are more experienced.
We now have many allies and a well-developed business model. We have a plan and people power.
The only thing missing are the funds needed to cover our startup costs.
In order to generate revenues throughout the year, we'll be growing microgreens. In order to do this, we need to prepare space beforehand. Funds donated would go towards construction costs and equipment like lights, trays, and seedling soil. Once our growing space is set up, any remaining funds will go towards our trailer systems, tools, and farm equipment.
None of this would be possible without your help.
And we have some really cool handcrafted perks you can receive in exchange for your donation.
Your contribution will give this project the extra hand it needs.
Our hope is that with the help of the community, Cycle Alimentaire will continue on contributing to the global and local discussions around food, urban spaces, and the environment.